1-2. Swinging a drive toward right center. Back goes Robert. Back near the stands. That ball is gone. A game-winning home run for Chris Morel. Can you believe it? Listen to this crowd.
Welcome back to the Brotherly Cubs podcast. I am your little brother, Zach. That is my big brother, John. We are your brothers who love everything Cubs baseball. If you enjoy Cubs baseball, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and join us every week as we dive into the power, the speed, and the best team in all of Major League Baseball.
We like to start off each podcast with a playful question for all of our subscribers. Zach, today I ask you, what's your favorite thing about Phoenix? Or / Mesa, as Siri says.
Mesa. Yeah, I like Mesa. I like that there's the spring training atmosphere is really awesome. There's so many different ballparks, and that's really cool to think about. All in that same area, very close together. And then also the mountains are really cool, mixed in with kind of the downtown scene and in the city. So it creates a really cool skyscape for sure.
So obviously I struggled a little bit with this. I thought the kind of like the lampposts I thought were unique. How they were kind of like.
I knew you were going to say that.
I could not get over that. Just they weren't regular lampposts. They protruded into the street, and they were kind of like at an angle. For our audio peeps, we're gonna try and describe this. Zach, how would you? It's kind of like it looks like a straight up regular pole, and then it extends out like 45 degrees, right?
Yeah.
It's different. The traffic lights were different. There was like a box around, like a big thick like rectangle around each of the traffic lights. Well, no, was that Tempe? Maybe that was more so Tempe.
What about Scottsdale? Did you thought
Scottsdale was that was cool. I wish we could have walked around there more. We were pretty tired. We'll get to that later on in the podcast about the Giants and Cubs spring training game. But I thought Scottsdale was unique. It was like I said, I wish we could have walked around more. I saw a lot of unique restaurants. But yeah, maybe next time.
Yeah. So just to recap, the reason we're talking about Phoenix is we just made a trip down and back to Phoenix and to Mesa, Arizona, and Scottsdale to see two Cubs Cactus League games. Before we get into that, a couple injury notes / housekeeping news to report. Nico Horner obviously will miss the Tokyo series, but that has just sort of been finalized recently that he's not going to get into any games, possibly until then. And Craig Counsell made the call to pull him from there in order for him to get more work in minor league spring training games. Bruce Levine originally reported he did not think Matt Shaw would attend the Tokyo series on the 18th and 19th of March, but now Matt Shaw has now been considered a TBD, and he is going to show up in spring games this weekend. So that will be awesome to see.
Yeah, I think that's really mysterious. I don't understand.
Well, I
don't understand it at all, really. But
I wonder if the news broke, and then Matt Shaw and his I don't know if they say his camp, but like his agent or him, he did not like the way that sounded. Like, oh, it's not a for sure thing. So I think Marquee or some reporting. Some folks asked him directly a second time, like, you're for sure going to miss it? And it was like, no, not 100%. So at least he's getting back in action. At least he's close. I mean, he may still miss the game because he's not on the 40-man roster.
So I thought it was just odd. Yeah, I was just going to say, I thought it was odd because he went from taking grounders, right, and that's it, to now he's going to be playing in the next couple games or something like that, right? I don't think he was swinging, right?
I think he was swinging in the cages. I think tomorrow he's going to take live BP, sounds like, and then he'll start to do grounders with throwing. And then if that all goes well, then I think Sunday you'd get to get in a game, an actual spring training game, which would be really nice, not just live BP.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I guess we'll recap the games we went to. Pretty awesome to attend these in person. Obviously, the Cubs played at Sloan Park against the Diamondbacks. Kind of a weird feeling, I'd say, playing against what would be considered like the home crowd, Arizona Diamondbacks, but in their home state, but in our home park in Mesa at beautiful Sloan Park. 4-2 victory. Sammy Sosa made an appearance. Our friend of the podcast, Rich Biesterfeld, sent me the picture of Sammy Sosa in between some of the practice fields on his way over to Sloan Park, and I was like, no way. I was like, I could not believe that. And he helped give some advice to Vidal Brujan a couple times, actually. One of the times in the dugout, another time on a side session at the backfields. He was giving him some advice on just some tips, obviously, but Vidal Brujan hit a home run. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, Sammy said the right thing and Vidal listened. So, I mean, it's, you kind of wonder, what he told him, but I mean, that's, between those two guys, but yeah. And then I know, speaking of Brujan, he stole second base, right, on that Giants game. And then he stole third, or was it a wild throw? I forgot what happened on that play. It was
I think he stole third, and then the throw went long, and he should have stolen.
Okay, so for some reason I thought he stole two bases on that. Okay, so yeah, he came up a little bit gimpy at third base on the overthrow to third, right?
Yeah.
And then it went into the outfield, and people were kind of like, clamoring for him to run and go home, and we weren't sure. I think at first we thought, Barry was holding him at the third base coach, Quentin Barry was holding him at third, but I think he was actually injured.
I think he's okay though, right? Or maybe he did actually legitimately get hurt.
I didn't look into that in depth, but I think he just was being cautious.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't think anything's been reported as of late. So
yeah, hopefully he's fine. I know he's going to be in the bench mix for maybe possibly at second base, or at least on the bench to start the season.
Right.
So they get a look at him for those 2 games against the Dodgers. So we'll kind of see how that goes for him.
Yeah. So then the second game, the Cubs played the Giants, and they tied them, right? 4-4.
Yeah. We did tie the Giants. Let's see. We had Imanaga pitching, which that was pretty sweet. I mean,
yeah.
I know he didn't necessarily perform super well, but he did have 6 strikeouts. I did see a little bit on the velocity that he was hitting between 73 and 78 on his breaking ball.
Yeah.
So I could tell he could be throwing a sweeper, could be throwing a slow curve. So I like that he got that in the game, and he got the fastball up to 93. So that was a big development for me to see that. I think that was good. Really awesome to see. Really encouraging, I would say, to see that, because it's good to see him getting all those pitches in, and he's going to be the opening day starter on the 18th. So he's got to have his velocity pretty much almost there by now.
Right. He's so fun to watch just because I think of his personality, and I forgot that. Because he threw a few pitches and he just kind of paused at the end of his, after he threw it, and he just looked at the umpire waiting for a strike call. Another pitch he threw, he went like this, like he held up his fingers, like, to show like how much did I miss it by. You could see the personality is, it's really funny, and I forgot just how funny he is and charismatic he is. And so not only is he a phenomenal pitcher, I mean, I think he was he top 5 in walks allowed? Is that right?
Yeah, like 4% strikeout.
4 or 5, yeah, top 5, and I mean that's insane.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to how well he can do against the Dodgers. I think he did pretty well against the Dodgers last year.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So what else do we have? Oh, we talked with Rich Biesterfeld and John Antonoff of the Chicago Sun-Times.
The backfields, yeah.
Yeah, in the backfields and fields what that was what 3 through 6. That was really cool. I mean, like you said, Zach, he is a walking baseball, or at least a Cubs baseball encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Just an extensive knowledge of so many players that you probably, like, the common Cubs fan hasn't even heard of.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and he just knows them by, he's really cool with like all of them, like all of the players.
Yeah, the staff. He's cool with Ethan Roberts, family members of the team, and obviously all the minor leaguers that he sees there throughout the year. He told me there's some kind of baseball being played like 9 or 10 months out of the year in Arizona, in that area. So let's say Mesa or Scottsdale. So he's like, yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to see these guys play. Arizona Complex League, Arizona Fall League, right? So it's all the time. So even in the, obviously in the summer they're playing in the heat of Arizona at night. Still, there's constant baseball, so he gets to see a lot of different players, or a lot of prospects. He's a big prospect guy, but yeah, super knowledgeable. Really nice dude.
What were your thoughts on watching batting practice? After we talked with Rich, we kind of sat down and watched a little bit of Ivan, was it Brethowr?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Travis Jankowski, Greg Allen. What were your thoughts on that? Chris Flexen was throwing up.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I would say that Flexen, didn't pitch well at the time, but he gave up a lot of rockets to that group.
Yeah.
So but it was still cool to see live BP up close like that.
Yeah.
Never seen live BP thrown before during spring training, so that was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
I know Jankowski and Allen were both raking. So it was interesting because it was all kind of guys that are, aside from Brethowr, who's a prospect, Flexen is looking to make the team kind of in the bench or like a flex. I almost said a flex role. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Like a versatile, swing man, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
He's looking to try and do that. And Jankowski and Allen are looking to get into the bench, that last outfield spot. So it's kind of interesting to see who's ready, who's ready to go to try and win themselves a spot, right?
Yeah, a lot of competition. I mean, you could throw in Jaguar as well for that outfield spot. I mean, from what we saw, I wasn't too pleased, with that Giants game. So let's talk about that Giants game, the Cubs and Giants at Scottsdale Stadium. It was a 4-4 tie, like we said. We did come back. We left a little bit early because I think it was just a mixture of things. The mishap with not being able to stand like in the shade.
There's for anyone who hasn't been to spring training for, I guess, Scottsdale Stadium, it's a stadium with virtually no shade except behind home plate. So every seat is like in the sun.
Yeah.
Whereas we were sitting in the left field berm in Sloan Park, which was, the berms and the outfield grass are all covered in sun, but sort of by design. That's what you get for what you pay for. You're getting a seat that's not like a normal seat.
Right.
You set a blanket down or something. But these are all normal seats that we were sitting in. They were all covered in sun, whereas Sloan Park seemed to not have that issue. So, and by the way, we forgot to mention earlier, but we originally sat near the bullpen and left field berm, and we moved. And after we moved, like a couple innings later, Vidal Brujan hit a home run right where we would have been. The ball landed literally right where we were. So, but yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I told you too. I was like, let's give it 4 or 5 innings and we're going to see some bombs. And lo and behold, it was, I think, bottom 4th or something like that. Or bottom 5th. Yeah. And then, so And you can actually see Zach running in the background if you look at those home runs that Brujan hit. Or no,
Kelly.
I don't know if is it Kelly? And I know Brujan hit one, and I think I saw you running across the screen. So anyways, but yeah,
see if I can get a ball.
yeah, yeah, like we said, it was that Scottsdale Stadium was we were just cooking, and you could tell people that was just looking at the people in front of us, and that poor lady was already cooking by like the bottom of the second inning. Like her whole shoulder was like just like dark red.
Yeah,
I felt so bad. But it's something to learn. This is a situation to learn from. I mean, next time I think we said we would just do maybe 2 park games. Sloan Park is amazing, by the way. If you've never been to Sloan Park, I mean, not only do they have shade if you want to sit in the shade, I would say maybe a third of the seats were shaded.
Yeah, like a decent amount.
Like at least a third, yeah. Versus like the Giants was maybe like a tenth.
I mean, I sat in the shade at Sloan Park my first time. I was in the berm to start with, and then I actually had a seat booked in the shade. So that was actually nice. I had forgotten that's why it wasn't so overheated that game.
I would do that next time. I would do what you did, where we have seats that are pretty decent, and we can kind of get a glimpse of where we're at, and then go out to the berm for maybe a couple innings or so, or whatever you can stand at the in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I think, 83 degrees or something like that the first day, and the second day. So yeah, the berm was really it was hot out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was cool. It was a unique experience. I did want to lean over the rail and look at the bullpen, but security had other plans.
Yeah, I was trying to see who's warming up. I know last year I was with Cody Delmendo in right field, and we were watching Jesse Chavez warm up for the White Sox in right field. And so this year I was like, oh, well, let's hang out by the bullpen for our home team.
Yeah.
I think we saw everyone. We saw Pearson, Hodge, we saw Luke Little, who wasn't going to pitch that game.
And you shouted out to him, and then
I told him I want to see the sweeper. I know he's not going to pitch. But I was just like, hey, let's see the sweeper.
Yeah, you went like this, and then he also went like that with his fist. His fist up. That's actually cool.
Yeah, he seemed like a nice guy. I mean, yeah, it was cool. It's cool being right near the bullpen too. Obviously, I don't know, besides the berm there, if we'll ever get that kind of experience in a different park, right? Aside from spring training, being able to be right by the bullpen.
I don't know many other, spring training parks, and like what the design is, and like Ho Cam or anything like that, or is it Cattle Ranch,
Camelback Ranch,
or Camelback Ranch? Yeah, for the Dodgers. So I mean, but yeah, that was really cool. I again highly recommend it. I recommend going to Sloan Park. We had, I think, there's 3 different spots where you could buy Cubs merchandise. A huge indoor store.
Mm-hmm.
Just about any kind of thing you could think of that you want for Cubs merchandise was there.
Yeah.
Magnets, just hats, everything, shirts, jerseys. Giants, not to be biased or anything, but it was pretty paltry, and
didn't have that much at their shop. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a limited selection of items, and the park in general. We noted this as well, or we talked about it, was that it was noticeably smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it was a great experience. I would go again. I think I was telling our mother, Gina, shout out to our mom. I would fly next time, I think. Driving was cool and all, and it was a long drive, both ways, and so I think next time I'd probably fly.
Yeah.
Fly out of I'm not sure where where I would fly.
Right.
So.
Well, switching gears here, we've got some bench discussions to be had for sure with the Cubs. A lot of their team is really already locked down, as we've talked about. With potentially Horner is going to not be your everyday second base, or I should say, he's not going to be your opening day second baseman. You're going to have, and if Matt Shaw plays third to start the year, if he makes it, I'm going to assume Shaw does not make the Japan series, and the Cubs may have someone like Gage Workman play third, and possibly John Birdie play second. That opens the door for a guy like Vidal Brujan. Obviously, Justin Turner's locked down a spot. Carson Kelly's locked down a spot. So the final bench spot would have to be a battle between Nicky Lopez, Kevin Alcantara, Greg Allen, and Travis Jankowski. So kind of an interesting development on the position player side, right?
Yeah. Like you said, I mean, Allen's got some interesting speed and power. Jankowski, obviously, he homered off of Alzolay, was the opening day.
But Jankowski does not have a good doesn't have any recent success in terms of OPS. So that's something that I'm thinking about with regards to his competition, and his role is okay. Well, he's going to be a speedy guy off the bench in defense, but he's not necessarily going to hit the ball as hard every time.
Yeah.
That's something that's going to be weighing him down a little bit, I think.
Nicky Lopez made a really nice play today. Did you see that?
I did not. Did not see that.
I think it was short. Yeah. I think he was playing short, and he made a diving stop and barely got the guy out at first. So yeah, I mean that made a good impression, I'm sure, on the club.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But he also has to hit too. I think did he have a hit? Let's see. He did, huh? I think he had like 1 or 2 hits on that Giants game.
Yeah, I mean he's having a decent spring so far. I don't know what his sample is, but he's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. That Tokyo series will really be interesting to see. Like I said, hopefully we can take at least 1 out of 2. So
Jankowski has a career 624 OPS.
Oh.
Yeah, and I know,
which makes that home run look even worse. Then
what makes it worse is that he only had 1 home run last year.
And that was it.
Sounds like a joke, but it's true,
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Not a lot of power off the bench, aside from Justin Turner. So,
what are you looking forward to, Zach, on this Tokyo series?
What's
one thing? Yeah, like one thing that you want to see out of the Cubs. Let's say they lose. Maybe let's say they lose. Yeah, both games. It's definitely possible. It's the Dodgers. But what would be a good positive or takeaway that you'd like to see from that series?
In terms of just something I want to see, it's going to really be
what about
me,
the pitch? Yeah.
I mean, probably guys like PCA and Bush. I want to see the younger guys. They've already developed, but I want to see them at least shine or show something really good. You've got the Dodgers pitching staff, so really anything you get offensively out of this team would be nice, nice to have.
Yeah.
Can they score 3 or 4 runs? Maybe score 4 runs. I mean, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So, what about you?
I am looking at Imanaga.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
I'm hoping his walks are, he can get that under control. So hope that he's kind of the main focus.
You get them under control, you're saying?
Yeah, because he had, how many walks did he have that last game? Well, didn't he kind of?
We had a 4% walk rate last year, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying lately, his control issues as far as that last game. Yeah, he did not quite locate, I think, how he wanted to. And so I'm hoping he kind of regains that 2024 form. But we'll see. hopefully he's aggressive. I want to see him be aggressive with the right type of hitters. Obviously, you can't be too aggressive with Shohei.
He had one walk in his last spring training game.
Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about.
He had one walk and 3 hits. I think he gave up a 2-run
Maybe
homer.
okay, maybe there was just a lot of full counts or batters that are working the count or something.
I mean, I will say he threw. It doesn't have it here on the box score.
Yeah.
I think he threw like over 50 pitches, and he didn't get through 3 innings. So
maybe more efficiency.
More efficiency would make sense. I mean,
yeah,
he's gonna. Yeah, I think that from what I heard is the Cubs may use Imanaga for more innings and then use multiple starters on game 2. So they're gonna want him to go try and give some depth, so the bullpen doesn't have to eat a ton of innings in game 2.
Yeah.
But it's kind of be an all hands on deck type thing, right?
Yeah, we were talking about this. I mean, they could even, deploy 2 starters, really, right?
That's what I heard, or maybe 3. I don't know.
I mean, well, per game, maybe like go
2 per game. Yeah.
I mean, why not? Because you have spring training games that don't really count a whole lot. Even though we're 6-0.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, if you think about it, those games actually count. So you're in this rare situation where you could possibly throw, 2 starters at them. So, and they could as well, but
guys are going to want to get work in too. This is one of those rare instances, like you said, where it's right in the middle of spring training. So a lot of guys aren't really ready. So they're going to have to play that as well with the pitching.
Yeah,
and
that's true. Yeah.
Guys need to get work in. I mean, they need to get, there's going to be games for them to appear in and get work, but they're going to have to make quick decisions on some of these roster battles. Like, we're not used to talking about roster battles at the end of February and being very serious about them. There's not even really a sample to talk about stats. And yet the roster battles need to be finalized probably by like the 15th or 16th, right? So they only have like 2.5 weeks before they have to absolutely write down their lineup card and have a finalized roster.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting to see a very accelerated spring training, at least.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us here on the Brotherly Cubs podcast. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, or join the conversation with us on Twitter at Brotherly Cubs or Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I'm your big brother, John, and that's my little brother, Zach. We will see you next week. We have Rich Biesterfeld that's going to be joining us. Is that right, Zach?
That's right.
So tune in next time. Something to look forward to.
Awesome. All right. Talk to you later.
Catch you guys later. Peace.
Listen to this crowd.